Hello, Seiiti Arata. Do you know someone who is optimistic? And can you also think of pessimistic people? What do they do differently? Is the optimistic always waiting for victories? And the pessimistic always waiting for defeat? By the way, what is defeat? What is victory? How can you recognize a loser or winner, whatever that is? How would you define a pessimistic or optimistic thinking? All these questions help us to understand the different choices that we can make. Our choices reveal how we think, and what kind of practical consequences we're going to reap. At every moment, your mind can interpret and reinterpret the most radically different situations. You can even imagine future scenarios that have not happened yet. And before any event, past, present, and future, you have two choices. Either you can think like a winner or you can think like a loser. And this choice determines your degree of optimism or pessimism. Victory and defeat are relative. First, we need to define victory and defeat. These definitions help us to understand and identify what is victorious thinking and what is defeated thinking. If I say that John was fired and that his bank account is zeroed, what does that mean? Anyone who thinks that John is a loser is making a hasty conclusion, because with this information alone, we don't have enough details. We don't know what John's context is. And most important, we don't know what is important to him. If John refused to participate in immoral or fraudulent activities at work, he might have left victorious because he didn't do what he didn't want to do. He didn't let peer pressure influence him to do something that he considered to be wrong. If he has no money in his bank account because he used his lifetime savings to pay for a surgery of a loved one, he can feel the victory of saving a life. Therefore, to find the meaning of victory and failure, let's not look at the outward appearances. Let's understand the objectives and the context. Don't let the judgment of others define whether you are a victorious or defeated person. Only you will make this type of evaluation. Let us define failure as the absence of the desired result. Instead of suffering from sadness and a feeling of helplessness, we can understand that we are still walking the path that can bring the results. And that is why in the previous episode we saw how personalities like Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, and J.K. Rowling went through moments of frustration before reaching success. You can see more in the episode 75 in the series Hello Seiiti Arata at arata.se/hello75. And beware of rationalization. Now that you know that victory and defeat depend on what you want to achieve, here comes a warning. Your mind can and will deceive you. You may begin to believe that you did not really want to achieve that goal after all. Remember the fable of the fox that was jumping to reach these grapes, very nice looking ones, and then she realized she couldn't catch them. What did the fox say to reduce this frustration? I didn't want those grapes after all. They're probably sour. So this is a mechanism of ego defense that it is used to justify for ourselves why we did not achieve what we wanted. For example, when a breakup occurs, it is common to put more emphasis on the former partner's negative characteristics. We say, oh, that person, I'm so glad we're done. I couldn't stand this and that. And you know what they used to do? Oh, isn't it true? If you're interested in that self-deception, you can check arata.se/hello32. In the book When Prophecy Fails, Leon Festinger tells us the story of a cult that predicted the end of the world at a certain date. But then the world did not end. Instead of realizing that their prophecy was wrong, they rationalized that it was their faith that had saved the planet. So beware of rationalization. It prevents us from perceiving the obvious truth. pessimistic thinking believes things will go wrong. The future has not yet happened. And because we fear being frustrated, pursuing a goal and failing to reach it, pessimistic thinking develops the belief that the outcome will be below expectations or altogether impossible. In this way, we do not get frustrated, and then we can protect our ego. However, there is a serious problem with this choice of attitude. When I think like a loser, I will not even start a project because I already have an initial belief that it will not work. Or, even if I start, I'll give up at the first obstacle, which will serve as a proof that my pessimistic belief was correct. The thoughts of defeat serve only to massage the ego. They will not stimulate me to grow and to find ways of overcoming my obstacles. Beware of the optimistic thinking. You may be wondering then if the best way is to think optimistically. Maybe you should believe that everything will work amazing in the future. This is also not a very practical choice. We have already talked about it in the episode 23 of the series Hello Seiiti Arata. You can go to arata.se/hello23. Be neither optimistic nor pessimistic. Be an explorer. Instead of thinking, oh, I will be able to do it for sure, or no, this will never work. There is another alternative, that of the exploratory curiosity. To assume a posture of exploratory curiosity. Let us look at the challenges ahead and ask, what are the different strategies that I can adopt? Which strategy has the best chance of bringing results? And as I implement this strategy, how can I improve my plans as I am learning? What is the price I'm willing to pay? Defeatist thinking seems comfortable, but it is a way to delude oneself to protect the ego. In addition, it is an attitude that does not stimulate growth and learning. And as it is a choice, I can at any moment change my way of thinking and then take on the exploratory curiosity and then reap results closer to what I truly desire. It is not always easy to change your attitude, and to make it easier, the Better New Year course separates classes in different dimensions of goals. We have money, health, love, success. We have a lot of activities for lasting change, and you can visit the link arata.se/better new year to access the course and then learn how to control pessimistic thinking right now.